Ballot box zoning in San Diego dates back to the early 1970s when beach communities voted for control over vertical height limits. Encinitas just passed Proposition A's right to vote initiative. So now voters and not city officials will decide the fate of proposed development projects that are bigger, denser, or higher than current law allows. But is it a better plan to build your community through direct democracy, or should it be left up to city planners and elected officials? Here to help answer those questions are former city architect and now professor Michael Stepner and Bruce Ehlers, a spokesperson for Encinitas Proposition A. Welcome.
Thank you.
Bruce, in June, Encinitas voters passed Prop A, which gives residents there now the right to vote on new development projects that are, I guess, controversial, one might say. Why do you think that's necessary?
Well, it actually is necessary because in previous attempts to look at increased housing densities or increased heights, the city staff came to conclusions or proposals that angered and outraged quite a few people in Encinitas. And the last resort was to go to drove the residents to a last resort that was the ballot box planning approach.
So they weren't happy with what was being planned or what basically was being approved. Right. So Mike, now the Encinitas City Council, they didn't support Prop A because they said that the city would no longer be able to meet its state mandated goals for affordable housing. Is that a valid concern when you have ballot box development?
Well, I think one of the concerns is that there sometimes are overriding ordinances or legislation like the affordable housing, which is thrown into sort of a state of confusion about whether it overrides or doesn't override, and that has to be worked out. But it also speaks to the fact that sometimes ballot box planning locks you into solutions that may limit you from doing something you really want to do later on without a long, extensive process.
For example, give us an example of that.
Well, it may be that somebody, in the case of Encinitas, comes in and wants to do something that's a little bit higher, a little more intense use. They will have to go through the process, and it may not be a process because of the way sometimes we work, where a full discussion goes on. It's really related to sound bites, and that becomes polarizing in some
kind of slogans that people get
right.
onto. No heights. Let me ask you this, though, Michael. Continue with this, and I'll come back to you on this. How do you get those mandates met then, if the voters say, no, we don't want these, let's say in PB back in the 70s, we don't want these big, tall buildings. We don't want 100 extra units here.
Well, I think that's going to be an interesting question that has to be answered, and I think we'll see that attorneys have a lot of role to play in all of this, to see what is really affected and how the rules really work, and I don't have an answer for that.
Well, Bruce, aren't there policies in place now to make sure that the development process in the county follows the general plan?
Yes, and we are in support of the current general plan. In fact, Proposition A only addresses increases over and above the current general plan. So it's increases in height or intensity or density that would trigger a requirement for a vote of the people.
Do you, Bruce, know of other developments in progress right now that are also sort of illustrating the concern that voters want to basically have a voice in what's happening?
I think in Encinitas, the triggering event was most definitely the comprehensive general plan update that the city has been going through for a couple of years now. And it was those initial conclusions that they had two committees go through this process, and the first committee made some recommendations that were so egregious that there was an online petition circulated within New Encinitas of 1,200 people, and that was presented to the council, and the council literally threw out the initial group, and they started a second group that went through a very similar process of outreach, again staff-led, came to a very similar conclusion, and that's when we realized we had to act.
It wasn't going to be decided by the city. Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, I know that Lilac Hills in Valley Center, it's a proposed development. There's 1,700 homes being proposed by a developer to be built in what the county has zoned for 1,700 homes, so more than 1,000, and the county has zoned 110 homes. This seems like a perfect setup for when people would want to come out and vote and saying, look, you're not going according to the county plan.
Well, Peggy, let me do this first. Let me give you some disclosure. I was called to advise on the design of that project a number of years ago, and I looked at that, not taking into account what the zoning called for, but just the design of the project. I think It is in conflict. It is different than what the community plan calls for, and what the goals of the community plan were to develop everything around the town center rather than in the edges. But the developers are making a case that this really meets the need of the community in terms of the additional housing that's going to be required here in the next 15, 20 years. 325,000 housing units are projected by SANDAG to be needed to meet our growth. I think what needs to happen is really that discussion and that debate about why this is appropriate or inappropriate versus trying to ramrod it through, and I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but and then not having the discussion which causes the backlash, which leads to the frustration that leads to a ballot initiative. Yeah. We heard in our earlier discussion this morning, Bruce and I participated in, that sometimes ballot box planning is sort of the ramrod or the lever to break the political gridlock that needs to be done in order to move forward.
We're out of time, so I'm going to have to end it there, but I want to let folks know there's a whole lot about this discussion on our website, kpbs.org. Mike Stepner and Bruce Ehlers, thanks so much for
Thank you for inviting us.